Yes, sir.
Then tell me what is work group in a different manner or anything. What is work group?
No centralized administration, sir, in work group,
Okay.
and no centralized in this domain. There is a centralized administration, sir.
Keep going. So don't stop.
No centralized authentication is there, sir, in work group.
Very good.
In a domain, there is a centralized authentication also is there, sir.
Very good.
Domain as the decentralized administration, sir, in work group, sir. User information will store in system only itself, sir, in work group.
Very good. Right. So when you go to the difference manner, so little confusion will be there, but still that's a good thing. Okay, you remember. So that's like, yeah. So if you speak now, so then everybody will understand. So like this is the way you can answer. That's the good thing. Like work group and things. So work group is decentralized administration. It means no centralized administrator. Domain is centralized. Very good. Administration. See, you had said correct only, right? Decentralized administration, centralized administration. Workgroup is no central server controls workgroup system. No central server is there. No central server, no central server control or administration kind of stuff. It is we have a central server. We have a central server control domain systems and users and group like that. Resources. It will be control. Central server is there and it will controls. It controls your domain systems. Domain computers. Domain system means domain computers. Okay, like this. Centralized server. Central server or a centralized server. Okay. So in this one we have a central server means domain controller. Domain controller. In this one, no central server, no domain controller. So we don't have any domain controller because of no central server, no domain controller. Okay. User information, user group. Okay. Resource. Okay. User group, computer information stores in that PC only. It means in the PC only, but here it is user group computer resource service information source, or we can say available in domain controller. One second. In domain controller. Okay. So user authenticate by that PC only. PC means just the meaning is computer. Okay, computer or a system. Okay, guys, a lot of words are almost similar. Okay, but different situation we use a different thing. Computer is a common word. Computer is a common word. PC means personal computer. It means a desktop or a laptop comes under PC. Again, desktop means it's a big dabba. There is a monitor and keyboard kind of stuff. That is, we call it as a desktop. The laptop which we can able to put in a lab that much a small size compared to the desktop. So then it is a laptop. Pam tap like that. So it comes under, right? So again, devices. The devices in the network or a computer field, the devices can be mobile phone, laptops, or maybe tablets or desktops, or routers, switches. All comes under IT devices only. So that's like a, in other words, host. Host means computer only. Host means computer. Server, in the sense, there's a different meanings also there. Server in a different meaning also there. Server based on the service, based on the hardware, based on the operating system. Actually, when we are discussing Windows servers, at that time we don't get much time to discuss about what is the server, what are the services, and all. I don't remember, but really we discussed that one or not. Otherwise, I will tell that one also. So, what is the meaning of server? In instant. Get it. Okay. So that time, so better you can check it. So, okay. So decentralized administration. So like this. Okay. We will once we'll say check the topic also. What is the meaning of server and all? Whether I done or not, I didn't remember exactly for your batch. Okay. So we'll see. Yeah, this is about your work group and domain. If you want to add few more points, you can able to access like it is work group is like a self-service type. Okay, user has to know and authenticate authorize to access resources or data in network. Okay, individually. Individually, you must know, like each and every person must know how to access the resources, and authorizing that accessing resources individually is there. Okay, but in a domain it is not like that. User authorized to access resources or shared data in network centrally. The will central system will authenticate you, authorize you to access. Guys, again, Authentication means verifying username and password. Are you correct, right? You are a username and password. Like for example, Zishan is there. So Zishan login. Okay, Zishan username password verified and authenticated. Just authenticated. I alert to join. So then I allow to join him in the meeting. So that is authorization. Okay. To log in, authentication, username, password. Authorization, giving permission to access. So remember these two things. Okay. Centralized, authorized is there. Okay. Domain controller. Okay. Settings through settings through or enforce settings through group policies. Group policies. To users and computers. Okay. So what happened? User not required to know. User not required to know how to access the resources. Automatically they will get it. Like that. Okay. So like there is a shared folder. You should mount automatically. I will put it and you will get it like that. So you need to manually access the shared folder so you can able to access. So that is the difference between workgroup and domain. That's very good, guys. The correct answer you told. Decentralized administration, centralized administration. Only 2 points. Workgroup, decentralized administration. Domain, centralized administration. Only that thing. Okay. Remaining are just for adding our answers only. Individual workgroup means individual PCs, no centralized server or no centralized administration. No centralized server or no centralized administration in workgroup. Decentralized administration, there is a centralized server, we call it as a domain controller. Okay, and it is a centralized administration. Okay, so user authentication done by central PC in the domain. User authentication is done by individual PCs in the workgroup. Okay, individual PCs at the workgroup. Okay, so that is the basic things.
So
Yeah, tell me.
difference for centralized and decentralized.
Difference between
Centralized, decentralized.
centralized and decentralized. The difference is very simple. Workgroup and domain difference. What is a centralized means? There is a domain controller or maybe there is a one server. Okay, there is a server. Guys, when you say domain means it is always better make it that one as a Active Directory domain. Okay, so when you are searching in Google also, for example, if you are searching in a Google, also Active Directory domain. Okay, it is a Microsoft concept. So that the domain kind of concepts also there in Linux also, that is called LDAP or Open LDAP concepts also there. So we are not talking about that one now. Centralized means is a centralized server is there. So which stores user information. Not we create a users here and we add the computers to the domain. It means the computer information also going to store in our centralized server, and the centralized server authenticate your users. Okay, because of computer information, user information. Okay, user passwords also stores in the centralized server only. Okay. centralized server only. And also, if you want to you want to deploy an application, or you want to send a settings, or you want to enforce certain settings to the users in the domain, or computers in the domain, we can enforce the settings to the computers also using group policies. That is a simple thing about a centralized server or a centralized domain environment. Okay. Decentralized means individual. Simply say centralized means only one person is controlling everyone, entire state or entire country, like one central person. That's we call it central government. State government, central government. But state government is a centralized system only, but for up to particular state only. Central government is up to country, entire country comes under one part. I am an individual person. Okay, I am an individual person, but I'm in a particular policy, right? So that is again little different. Okay, so like a central government is said like a ban, certain ban, like a liquor ban, or a state government said liquor ban. The policy applied to entire state people. Okay, if you are outside of that domain, so it is not apply on you. If you are an individual person, so like you are no man, no country kind of stuff. Okay, so then definitely no, nothing is that's actually not a good example. Okay, just centralized. I'm trying to get what is centralized means. Okay, what are the policies we create in the domain? Okay, so that we will apply. It will be applied onto each and individual servers, each and individual machines, which is in our domain. If it is not in our domain, our policies are not applicable. So that's what I want to say. And yes, for example, in my network, I have a client computer. I have one more system is there. So this is a C5. For example, user 1 login here. So my central server is authenticating. User 2 login here. Central server will authenticate. Request go to central server. It will authenticate. User 3, user 4. Now the question is, can I log in like this or not? Okay, as for this, can we log in or not? I can log in to C1, C2, C3, C4 because there are my domain computers. C5 is not in my domain computer. It is not my domain computer. Maybe it is different computer or a workgroup computer. You cannot log in with a domain user. You can't log in with a domain user. So you have to go log in with the individual user. Okay. So that is about your centralized domain control thing. I'm getting bored again. Again, I'm going to go with workgroup part. Simple explanation. So then it will avoid a small confusion. Okay. So here it is, something computers are there. For example, this workstation 1, workstation 2, workstation 3, individual pieces, workgroup pieces. I have a user here. So for example, my username is, for example, A1, A2, A3. These are my users. A1 is a user, A2 is a user, A3 is user. So A1 is authenticated by this computer only. A2 is authenticated by this computer only. A3 is authenticated by this computer only. Okay. In domain centralized system, this domain controller is okay. The centralized server. Okay. The centralized server is authenticating users. Here it is. Individual PCs are authenticating themselves only. Okay. For example, you have a printer, or maybe you are sharing a data, so everybody must know how to access it. You have a printer access or a data access. Okay, data access is there, like you want to, everybody must know IP address of it, authentication, user authentication, authorization. This lot of things are there. For 1 or 2 pieces, no problem. 10 pieces, little bit no problem. But if you have a 50 pieces, 100 pieces, 200 pieces, it is very difficult to give the information of resources in the work group. But in the domain, it's very easy to share the information through group policies. Through group policies. Okay. So this is about your work group and the domain. Okay. So this is work group and domain. Once again, guys, decentralized administration, domain is centralized administration. No server, no centralized server in work group. Centralized server is in work group, that is called a domain controller. In a work group, every PC is authenticated by every PC having a user. The user is authenticated in that PC only. User information stores in that PC only. Okay. So in a centralized system like a domain controller, so domain controller having a user information, computer information. When you log into the a computer, domain controller will authenticate user and authorize the accessing of resources. Authorizing accessing of resources like a computer, printer, scanner, or maybe a storages authentication. Okay. So in our work group, we use a local group policies. You have a local group policies. Okay, individually. Here we apply domain group policies. What is the group policy? Group policies are settings to your system. Okay, so here we have a local group policies which is applied on an individual PC that will affect on that one single PC only. Domain group policies means domain wide group policies are applied to the multiple users, groups and computers. So then it enforces the various type of settings through group policies. So then user will get that resource access or maybe a certain condition or a certain control we can get it. Okay, so that is a domain. Okay, in central PC we create a group policy that will be applied on multiple users and computers. Local group policy means in an individual PC we are creating a group policy. That's it. For that PC purpose only. Okay. Centralized authentication system. It is decentralized authentication. Decentralized authentication. Centralized authentication. Administration. Okay. What is centralized authentication? Individual PCs authenticated their users. It is a centralized authentication. Means entire user authentication is done by central computer only, domain controller only. So remember this thing. This is about your domain and work group.